Okay, let's jump right into the fast-paced, really high-stakes world of radioactive medicine. We're going to unpack the official federal safety rules for making these unique drugs. I want to help you understand exactly what it takes to keep patients safe, and we'll do it without getting bogged down in all that complex legal jargon.
To do that, we've broken down the production lifecycle into 6 main areas. First, we'll look at the basics of PET compliance, then setting up for success, and controlling the production process. After that, we'll cover testing and batch approval, distribution and handling complaints, and finally, why strict compliance actually matters.
So let's start with Section 1, the basics of PET compliance, and really understand the stakes of radioactive medicine. The absolute most critical thing to grasp about a PET drug is that you are working against a ticking clock. It's basically a radioactive tracer that doctors use for diagnostic medical imaging. But the second it's created, those radioactive elements start rapidly breaking down. These aren't your typical pharmacy pills that can just sit in a bottle for months on end. Their lifespan is literally measured in hours and sometimes just minutes. Because they vanish so quickly, the FDA had to create a totally unique, fast-paced set of safety rules just for them. Think about it. If you tried to apply standard drug manufacturing timelines to a PET drug, the medicine would literally expire before it even left the building. So these regulations are carefully designed to balance lightning-fast speed with uncompromising patient safety. All right, moving on to Section 2, setting up for success. This is really about the foundation of a compliant facility. The rules make it super clear that you need a perfect combination of 3 things: the right people, the right environment, and the right tools. You absolutely have to have highly trained staff who know exactly how to handle specialized radioactive tasks. Your workspace has to be incredibly clean and orderly so nothing gets mixed up. And your equipment, it needs to be made of non-reactive materials so it doesn't mess with your sensitive chemicals. Plus, it has to be calibrated regularly. Which leads us to a huge operational rule. You can never, ever use raw materials blindly. Before you use a single drop of a chemical or even a basic glass vial, you need strict proof that it is exactly what it's supposed to be. Whether it's passing predetermined internal tests or getting a certified document from a supplier you trust, everything has to be verified before it touches the production line. Okay, Section 3, controlling the production process. Let's look at moving from raw materials to a finished product. You can kind of think of this like following the most rigorous baking recipe ever created. You start with an approved master blueprint. Then, for the specific medicine you're making that day, you create a unique, batch-specific daily record. And this is crucial. You have to document everything as it happens. We're talking exact weights, the precise time a step was finished, and the specific operator's signature. Now, why all this tedious paperwork? Well, this step-by-step logging ensures the absolute correct medicinal strength and stops dangerous cross-contamination in its tracks. We want to guarantee that a minor math error or a dirty tube doesn't end up harming a patient. The documentation is literally your only proof that the process was flawless. Let's jump to Section 4, testing and batch approval, which is really a race against the clock. Under normal circumstances, a drug gets a standard final release, meaning all quality tests are 100% finished and passed before a human ever uses it. But with that ticking clock, the rules allow for a rare exception called conditional final release. Let's say a specific piece of testing equipment suddenly breaks down. You can actually release the drug early, but only if you have a perfect historical track record for recent batches and you keep strict safety reserves to test the absolute second that machine is fixed. There's also the 30-hour rule. Checking for bacterial contamination or sterility naturally takes days because bacteria take time to grow. But the drug expires in hours. So the rules state you have exactly 30 hours after production finishes to at least begin your sterility testing. This keeps the medicine moving to the patient without delaying vital safety checks. Ultimately, though, a computer cannot make the final call here. No batch can ever leave the facility without the dated signature of a qualified professional confirming it met all passing grades. Someone has to physically put their professional stamp of approval on it, vouching for the patient's safety. Moving into Section 5, distribution and handling complaints. Basically, what happens after the drug actually leaves your lab? You have to maintain absolutely flawless distribution logs. This means recording the destination facility's name, address, and phone number, plus the exact drug name and quantity. You also need the unique batch tracking number and the precise shipping date and time. Why? Because if anything goes wrong in the field, you need to know exactly where every single drop went so you can alert the right doctors immediately.
So, what happens if a hospital or patient actually reports a problem with your product? You definitely can't just brush it off. Every single complaint demands an immediate, fully documented investigation to find the root cause. And here's a big one. Any returned radioactive product must be safely destroyed. You can never reprocess or reuse it under any circumstances. Finally, let's look at Section 6, why strict compliance matters, and the consequences of cutting corners. Let's ask the tough question. What must your facility do if a batch completely fails its own internal quality tests before it even ships out? If that happens, the failed batch must be instantly segregated so no one accidentally uses it. Then, it has to be thoroughly investigated to figure out what went wrong, and the root process either needs to be fully corrected or the batch has to be completely destroyed. And to prove you did all this by the book, you have to keep every single production and testing record for at least 1 full year after the drug was released. That paper trail is basically your ultimate proof of compliance to the FDA. When you look at all these rules, it's so easy to see them as just administrative burden. But compliance isn't just about avoiding regulatory warnings. It's about guaranteeing the safety of the patient at the end of the needle. It's a shield protecting a vulnerable person from harm when they're already facing a scary medical diagnosis. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Are your facility's daily logs detailed enough to truly protect your next patient? Is your documentation strong enough to literally bet a life on it? Because in the world of radioactive medicine, that's exactly what's happening every single day. Thanks for joining me for this explainer of the source material. Stay focused, stay compliant, and keep those patients safe.
If you found this helpful or want to stay updated when this regulation changes, subscribe and support the channel. And if you need the full technical details on this CFR, click the link in the description below. See you next time.